Hi everyone, welcome to this gentle yin yoga class. This is a spring yoga class. I did one last year and I think it's like an early spring. So I thought I would do a late spring yoga class. I mean, you can do this any time of year, right? But in like yin yoga is often connected with traditional Chinese medicine, with the roots, the meridians through the body, and spring and the yin that is practiced. It's springtime is often kind of tuned into that seasonal shift, around a shift toward from kind of dampness and coolness towards warmth and dryness, but not quite being there yet, and thinking about the aches and pains that might happen in the hips or in the joints during those damper months. So if you're interested in the background, that's what it comes from. I'm going to use a bolster for the practice, so big pile of cushions, a rolled up blanket or two would be fine. It's something to elevate your hips on. And then a strap, or I'm going to use a resistance band loop, just because I've been using them a lot in my practices recently. I've got them on hand, but also I'm finding for yin style passive holds where we're trying to minimize our muscular engagement, I really like the way that the resistance band allows you to do less work. Plus it's got that nice like loopy thing, you don't have to kind of hold on to it so much. So it could be something that's worth investing in. Anyway, we'll make a start. Make sure that you're nice and cozy, because in yin we're holding each pose for 2 or 3 minutes. So you're not going to get warm, you're not going to get your heart rate up, and you might want some gentle music on in the background maybe. Make sure that your setup is nice. And then we'll come down on our backs and we'll start by bringing your prop underneath your hips. So take your time to come down and roll the bolster underneath the tailbone, making sure the low back is free and that your whole pelvis feels fully supported on whatever your prop is, and then inch your shoulders away so that you have that nice feeling of knees being a little bit higher than hips and the hip crease a little bit ironed out, being higher than the heart or the shoulders. If you're pregnant, then this kind of pose probably isn't appropriate for you, in which case maybe think about sitting up against a wall, so you've got the wall behind you, and just stretching the legs out and take that as a beginning pose. Or you could change this around and have the bolster slightly propped up on pillows behind your back. If you're in your supported bridge, let's just roll the pelvis, tilting it backwards and forwards a few times. Let's just see how the low back and the hips are feeling. Noticing points of tension, anything that feels like it might want you to pay attention to it during the practice. And then make any more alterations that you need, and we're just going to rest in our supported bridge, feet lightly on the floor, feet in line with knees and lines of hips. And then if you like, you can bring if you're not trapping your cardigan underneath the bolster, you can yoink, bring the arms above the head, resting them lightly for a little bit of a shoulder opening. If you start to get pins and needles or tingling or shooting pain or anything, obviously bring your arms down. And as you start to settle into this pose, notice the feeling of maybe a body that's used to being active, that's trying to engage into the pose. Maybe engaged quads, tummy, glutes. A little bit of energy wanting to be used. Hello, darling. Hi, Monty. Hello. Yes, you sniffing the microphone. Hello. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Yoga and dogs.
And then see if you can deepen and slow down your breath. And gradually relax those parts of the body that are trying to work or are holding themselves ready to work. You could start to become aware of the expansion of your breath through your rib cage. Feeling into the broadening of your rib cage at the bottom as you breathe in, and that softening and contraction on the exhale. This pose gives us access to the full expanse of our rib cage, front, sides, and back. So see if you can become aware with your breath of that whole expansion. Think of the diaphragm as this big circular, almost like those parachute things they play with kids with. As you breathe in, it expands out front, back, and sides, all the way around, making the space for the lungs. And then feeling everything come back in again, contracting inwards, front, back, and sides. And as you stay here, you might notice your shoulders getting a little bit heavier. Maybe there's a little bit more relaxing into the floor between the shoulder blades. A bit of a lengthening of the neck. Perhaps a softening into the hip flexors, the tummy. Maybe even a little bit through the pelvic floor. Take 3 more breaths. Gently bring your arms down if they're overhead. And let's just rock and roll the pelvis a few times. Just to bring a little bit of subtle movement back in. And then adjust your props if you've shifted or moved off them. We'll bring the right knee in towards the chest and just gently extend the left leg. And it might just kind of hover in space as you draw that right knee in, or it might start to drift towards the floor. Think about maybe a gentle external rotation of that left hip, so the foot slightly turning out to the left, so that you can feel this stretch into the inside of the groins, into the adductor down the inside of that leg, as well as down the quad into the hip flexor. Slow, deep breaths. Notice if your mind wants to start to move towards shopping lists or assignments due or things you're going to do next. See if you can really bring your attention to this gentle stretch on the inside of the left leg. Or maybe you're listening to the music that you're playing. Yin is such a wonderfully nurturing practice for our nervous systems. I don't think we stop enough in contemporary life. I know I'm always bouncing from thing to thing, appointments, tasks, scrolling, next thought. It's quite radical, quite counterintuitive to just stop for half an hour and do a few stretches. Such a great reminder for a nervous system that maybe doesn't feel safe with slowness. But actually this kind of stillness where we are still doing something active with our stretch, it's like a way into that rest and digest portion of our nervous system. Take one more nice big breath into that left hip and just swap over. So take your time bringing that right foot down and the left foot in. Adjust your prop. And then left knee in. Gently extend the right leg. Maybe it hovers, floats, maybe it lowers to the ground. Maybe a slight outward turn. Notice how this side feels. Tighter or more comfortable. This is definitely a little bit tighter for me. I'm feeling more sensation into that right hip, right adductor and groin. My leg is just a little bit tighter overall, which makes sense. My dominant leg. Amazing how quickly the mind starts to wander, isn't it? Yin is also a great meditative practice because it's really interesting just to notice, oh, my thoughts just shifted away there, just doing this pose on the second side. It's kind of lost its novelty and I started thinking about other things. Noted a shift in my mood. And just gently bringing my focus and attention back to the stretch. It's a great little uncomplicated, unfussy practice of mindfulness. Just finding some gentle concentration. Take one more nice big breath on this side. And then left foot can come down. Right foot, press into the ground to lift up your hips to slide the bolster out. And let your hips come down gently and just, whoa, feel the difference. I'm laughing because I can, feel my tailbone without that padding of the bolster, and it feels like quite a long way to the floor from here. Let's gently lift the hips over to the left side of the mat and walk your feet towards the bottom right corner. We're going to come into a banana pose. So like a gentle crescent moon through the left side of the body. So you can cross the top leg over at the ankle, or you can plant the foot if that is a bit more comfortable, or you can even just have them side by side and then just wiggle the shoulders towards top right corner, and you can just keep your hands down, or you can bring them up above your head again. Maybe hold on to left wrist with your right hand, and just get that long stretch down the left side of the body. And then just try and make sure that your left hip isn't rolling up towards the right. We still want to be on the back of our pelvis, left hip intending down towards the ground. So the stretch is really from the left armpit, down the obliques, the tissues between the ribs, across the outside of that left hip and down the left IT band towards the ankle. And thinking here about really breathing into that left side of the body, the left rib, the muscles of the left hip and underarm. Almost kind of expanding a little bit on the left side because we've got this compression on the right side. So we're creating more space for the left lung here. Again, if you need to bring your arms down at any point, just make sure you're not getting any pins and needles. Gently bring the upper body back to the middle of the mat. Slide the feet out really slowly. Take your time so you can lift your hips and realign that center axis of the body, the head, the neck, down the torso, in between the hips. And just take a moment and tune into the left side and the right side, the front and the back. And then when you're ready, we'll lift the hips for the right. Walk the legs over to the bottom left corner of the mat. Tilt the upper body towards top left corner. Maybe you hold on to the right wrist. Get that stretch down the right side of the body. Make sure the pelvis is level. Just want to feel that stretch in the arm, the armpit, rib cage, hips, IT band. Breathing here into the right lung, which is often a little bit less expansive than the left, just because of the shape of the rib cage is slightly different from left to right. This is a nice opportunity as we really deliberately expand through the right side of the body to think about almost kind of flaring that right bottom rib cage open a bit to get more expansion into the bottom right lobe of the lung. Notice if your thoughts drift, can you bring them back to the gentle stretch, the sensation, the breath? Maybe even being present to your own slight discomfort if a slow practice is something you always reach for. Leaning into it a little bit, just noticing, being comfortable with it. Breathing in to that right lung once more. And then gently coming out of the pose, arms down, head first, then the legs. Resettling yourself in the middle of the mat, thinking about that long line, everything lined up. Notice the right side, the left side. Now, just to give you the option, because we've been lying down for a long time, you might be really happy just to stay lying down. You also have the option here, if you want, to bring the bolster or your props behind your head, or even lengthways underneath your shoulders, like so, just to get a little bit of elevation, if you feel like that would be a nice shift. And then we're going to find your strap or whatever you're using and loop it around the sole of the right foot. And we're just going to take some gentle hamstring stretches. So just holding on lightly. This is why I like the resistance band, right? Because I really don't have to do very much. And this is passive, so we're not pushing our leg up and flexing it. We'll just use the strap to gently draw the leg into a nice hamstring stretch. Aim for about 70% sensation. So, that would be 100, right? Oh, I can feel it all the way. So just a little bit less. You can feel the stretch all the way down towards the connection point, but it's enjoyable. Relax your tummy, relax your pelvic floor. If you want a deeper stretch, you could also lengthen this left leg away. This is really my favorite stretch for tired legs, achy hamstrings. Even low back pain can be really relieved by loosening. Well, not loosening, because you want your hamstrings to be springy, but sometimes there's tightness rather than elasticity. So just relieving some of that tightness can also reduce a little bit of pressure on the back. Now you've got the option to just stay as you are. You could also open the leg out a little bit more to the right and get more into the adductor and the groin. I think here I probably bring my foot up and let that left knee flop open just to keep my pelvis balanced and level. So there's still the hamstring stretch, but we're just shifting the angle a little bit. And then similarly, you can also come back up to center, lengthen the left leg, and take that leg across to get into the IT band as well as the outer part of that hamstring, which is intense. So just feel in, what does the leg need?
had your leg open to the side, bring it gently back up, and then draw the knee in to take the band off and just lengthen your leg away and give your pelvis a moment to relax and feel into the right leg and the left leg. And then when you're ready, adjust your position on your prop if you're using it. Loop your strap or your band against the sole of the left foot. And just start by finding that little 70% stretch. Whew, my left hamstring is tighter than my right, so I'm going to keep a little bit of more of a bend in the knee here. I think I might keep my right leg up rather than lengthening it away. We'll see how we go. You don't have to aim for symmetrical, same experience on both sides. Just feel into what you need in the moment. You may find as your nervous system gets more used to the pose, you get a little bit more length, a little bit more ease, and you can maybe go a wee bit deeper. Don't push it, just see if the leg naturally goes there. You have the option to take it out open to the side to get into the groin and the adductor. You can let this right knee flop a little bit to keep balance on the pelvis. And then maybe bring it back up. You could stay there or lengthen the right leg away and bring that left leg across and find the outside of the hamstring and a little bit into the IT band. Thought I'd put this out for Bank Holiday Monday. Because those long weekends can often actually be really busy. You end up doing a lot, seeing people, having people over, doing trips, whatever. So hopefully this will be a really nice, relaxing practice to fit in at some point. Maybe on your Bank Holiday Monday as a bit of a recovery. Let me know how you go with it. This is what I call pleasurably intense. It's like, it's a lot, but it's also kind of just want to stay here because it's feeling really nice to just get into that outer hip.
And when you're ready, come back up. Knee comes in, unloop your strap. Just let the legs go long, let the pelvis drop. Ooh. And then we'll just finish with a really simple seated forward fold. If you've got a different pose that you feel would actually be really nice right now, you go for it. I just want to kind of get now the back of the body across the kidneys as well, and opening the shoulders in a different way. So I'm literally just going to do a really passive forward fold. You could lift your hips up a little bit to get more tip if you wanted, which is actually really nice, like sitting up on the bolster and tipping forward, or you could put your bolster almost on your chest, on your legs, and bring your chest towards it and your head down, slightly more kind of curled in. I think I'm going to go for the sitting up on the bolster and tilting my pelvis, just to get that opposite sensation to when we were over in the other direction. So got that little forward fold, and then just let the knees be really soft. You might put blocks under there and let the upper body naturally round and curl. So I always think of this as like the true ragdoll pose, like, ragdolls sitting against a wall on the toy chest or something and just being left to flop. So let's come back into really breathing here. We've got access to the back of our ribs again, thinking about the kidney sitting here on their little shelf above the psoas muscle on the low back, and we can expand through the back ribs here and out towards the sides. Remembering that with every breath, that diaphragmatic movement, the diaphragm is connected to so many tissues in the region all around the torso that it literally teases the tissues. It brings the tension out with that natural movement of your breath. One of the reasons why constricted breath is often associated with tightness and that activated nervous system is, if you're not breathing deeply into your diaphragm, there's that less mobility in the tissues, there's less of that natural teasing and hydration that happens as the diaphragm moves and expands. And then that tightness is read by the nervous system as something to be worried about, and it shifts us up a gear in our nervous system, takes us into sympathetic. So you can almost think about nice deep breaths, expanding the rib cage is kind of natural internal massage. It's part of the stretch. Let the gravity naturally pull your upper body a wee bit deeper. You might notice maybe the QLs on the back, or maybe a little bit into the connective tissue on the back of your neck, or the lumbar fascia at the base of the spine, or just getting a nice gentle pull here. Soften your pelvic floor. Couple more breaths. And we're going to roll out of this really slowly. So inch by inch. Think about not shocking the tissues. Slowly realigning the spine.
Feel your head, your neck, your torso are nicely in line again. And just take a moment, before you leave your practice to feel if there's anything else that your body needs, another chest opener or a twist. And check in and see what's shifted and changed for you through the practice. I really enjoyed that. It's been a while since I've done a kind of full yin like that. I can really feel, I'm quite dopey now, I'm quite sleepy. I hope that you enjoyed it as well. I'll see you next time. Thanks for practicing.